Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In the Zone. Pete Coles, Rich Sutter, MVP Coles. In the Christmas season, folks, believe it or not, we're in the Christmas season.
Lord help us all.
Today is the 5th of December. We're taping on Friday today because life just took over. Last couple of days, a little crazy. So Pete and I stretched it out to Friday. Got a Friday tape for you, and it's a good one because we're really caught up on everything that went on in the week, everything that's happening. And right now, college and pro basketball world is really on fire. It's a great time. So we're really here, happy to be here with you, catch up with you. Let me get my mic straightened out here a little bit, Pete. There we go. All right. And so we're jumping off into Pete's corner. Pete coagulates and capitulates 3 questions for me. And then I try and do the best I can to knock them back with no knowledge of the question. Somebody asked me that on the social media the other day, and we've always been clear about that. Pete's questions are kept in a sealed crypt all week long until we break them out on this show. Let's go, Pete.
Yeah, somewhere in my brain there's a question.
Aha.
All right. The NBA Cup, where is it and why should we care about it?
I don't care, and I have no idea. They're in the middle of the cup right now, I think, and they're down to something. I couldn't even tell you. To be honest with you, they floated into the regular season so much that it doesn't even really exist. I don't know that it exists. They're going to claim a champion here or whatever. I'm sure they'll give it to somebody, that they're trying to promote or something to come up next. But I have zero. I think I have negative interest in it.
Really?
I think I have negative interest. I've been watching the games and listening to some of it, but how they've coagulated this cup and formulated this cup and now say, okay, in the middle of the season, we're having this little round-robin cup thing. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's a marketing joke. It stinks. They should get rid of it.
Okay, sounds good.
That was an easy one.
This is going to get even better.
Love it.
We're in the second or third season of NIL and portal and all that kind of stuff. Is that making college basketball better, or is it making it worse?
It's making college basketball better for a few, and it's making it worse for the larger expanse of college basketball, to include the spectators and fans who I believe are in the process of rapidly losing interest in this thing to the degree that they used to have it. The whole thing of having it under the emblem of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, or the Georgetown Hoyas, all of those great names, they all came out because they were rivalry existed, because people could follow the roster and know the players intimately. At St. Bonaventure, the players would walk around campus for 4 years. Everybody would know them because of the intimate nature of the campus, because our student athletes actually go to class, and because there's this factor of they would be there on the campus, by and large, for the most part, for 4 straight years. So this, if you don't think this is affecting the way your student bodies are going to react to your team, you're crazy, because they don't know them. One of the reasons the student bodies would have reactions, especially when you see, let's go back and you see when one of the guys off the bench gets in the game and he never plays and it's at the end of a blowout and all of a sudden they're blowing this thing out and they put this guy in off the bench and the place goes crazy, right? The place goes crazy because they know this kid. This guy's in class with them. They're able to root for him because they have some kind of existence with him. I think that's the piece of it that's really, really missing. But, go to it now of, okay, what type of relationship do the coaches now have with their players? That's been impacted. What type of relationship do the players have with their own people, their own other players? That's been impacted. Some guys get big money, some guys don't. And then you have the impact with them and the larger community as well, because now they're just more and more isolated, more and more, in some people's minds, mercenary. They just show up.
Yeah, sure, they're getting
show up for the dollars.
Right.
They're not really in this whole Fighting Irish thing.
There's no school spirit. They're paid employees.
It's gone that way. It's gone that way. And I think that it has had, those are just some of the deleterious impacts that it's had. And I think that it's much more wide ranging than that. We've heard other people talk about the relationship of parents to some of these people who are NIL bound. And this is such a small percentage of the people who actually play college athletics as well. It's football and basketball, football and men's basketball, basically two male dominated sports. And I think it's problematic in a lot of ways. But there have been so many ancillary and the law of unintended consequences here that have just really, really rung true. We've discussed a lot of them on the show.
Yeah.
But that's really where we're at right now. Pete, you can make it rain those dollars again if you want. Bring those dollars down. That's what we've talked about on this show. As long as the dollars keep raining out of the sky, as long as we have that emoji that we can punch on anytime we want, that dollar sign comes out of the sky like nobody's business, that's going to stay the same.
There's no incentive to change, right?
It doesn't appear to be. It doesn't appear to be. You would hope that there would be, and is there any altruism anymore? Is there an altruistic person in this whole mix at all who stands up and says, what's best for these young men and women? What's best for the sport? What's best for these universities? Is there anybody who's saying that right now?
No.
I don't hear them. And it's amazing to me, that a lot of people are taking duck and cover on this. A lot of people are just running, and that's what happens these days. And that's why some of this stuff gets promulgated, because the real honest people of the world who know this stuff has gone crazy just won't stand up and say it. And the reason they won't stand up and say it is because there's an attack machine in this country that comes after people that speak their mind freely now. And that's why you've dissented on communication. That's why we don't talk to each other like we used to, because there's a machine in this country that comes down on your head if you say the wrong thing. Say one wrong thing and the machine comes down on your head. It's just a game now. That's the way it is. And I wish there was more altruism in it, but really what you're doing is just asking people to line up and die, because the machine's a lot bigger than the average person right now. The machine has a lot more weapons, and they don't have any problem right now seemingly bringing all of those weapons upon the people that live in this country. It's a terrible way to live right now, unfortunately, but that's where we're at. I think if there was more altruism involved, more people saying, hey, man, let's slow down. Hey, let's appeal this. Has anybody even appealed this thing in court? It came down from the court, and the court came in and said, okay, this is what you're doing. Has anybody appealed it? Has Congress stepped in to say...
I'm surprised the NCAA hasn't appealed it.
And has Congress stepped in to say, hey, maybe you guys overstepped your bounds here, because in essence, you created law. And Congress is supposed to create law, not the court system. And so that's exactly what happened here, was complete judicial overreach, in my opinion. But that's another story for another day. All right, Pete, let's go to question 3.
All right, Coach, what does a 3-game week look like in the life of Coach Sutter?
Okay, that's where we're at right now, and it's 6 and 12 days. 6 and 12 days. So it's crazy.
So you're cramming them in before semester break, right?
Yeah, and we only have that amount of time, really. They let us open in November, the second week of November, and then the exam period starts somewhere in early December. So in between that time, now thankfully, our league expanded by one team, which gives us 2 more league games, which is in the second semester. That's going to make second semester even a little bit more crazy. But what it did was it limited us up to 10, 11 games in this first part of the season. But now you're talking about, just like I went, middle of November to the middle of December, you need to play 10 games in 30 days. So it's nutty. It's absolutely crazy. So what you're trying to do is stay ahead of the avalanche. You're just trying to outrun it because it's coming.
And with a 4 or 5 day break in the middle for Thanksgiving, right?
Right. When the players weren't there. So you're basically down to 24 days, 10 games. That's one every 2.4 days. Some of them back to back when you're in tournaments and stuff like that. But really what it is, if you go down into the microcosm of it, you're just trying to stay ahead of an avalanche. You'll play one game and then you'll have a game 2 days later. But you really need 2 days to prepare to get ready for that opponent in practice. So you have to be ready 2 days before. So you have to be ready the day of the game that you had. Now, to go on to your next game, Win or lose, you got to move on. You got to get ready. You got to scout them up, practice it up, and prepare the team for the next game. And so that's our process. Is we like 2 days in between to really gear up and get ready for that next opponent. And then we're talking about what they do on offense, what they do on defense. What are they going to do to us on offense? What are they going to do to us on defense? And then try and map that out. Get into your out of bounds plays, get into some of the other stuff. But right now, you're getting blown up. Certain things are working, certain things aren't, and you have to adjust on the fly. It's like trying to fix an airplane that's flying.
I was going to say, do any of those like back-to-back or next-day games give you a chance to even emotionally reset for the team members?
No. You just come back, and those games are brutal because you're in a tournament. So you play, say, it's a Friday, Saturday gig. You play 7 o'clock on Friday. You're back in the gym at 1 o'clock on Saturday for that next game. You don't even have 12 hours in between. You go, and they talk about these NBA guys. They get to stay in first-class hotels. They have masseuses. They got nutritionists. They got all this stuff. Our guys go to the dorm, maybe get a Hot Pocket, come back the next day and roll it up. It's a little different. That's why, as a coach, you really have to really work on your schedule, to make sure that it's mapped out well. You're not going back-to-back that much. We have 3 back-to-backs this year, which for us in the first 10 games is a lot. It's a lot. But, scheduling's difficult. Scheduling's very difficult. You're under the same weapons of math destruction that the prominent big Division I teams are. You're under the same ones. You'll be 4-1, and you'll be 4-0. You lose a game, and then you drop 60 points in your rating, 70 points in your rating. It's absolutely ridiculous and brutal, but that's where you're at. The main thing to do right now is just put your head down and get through it. Put your head down. Do what you can do. Just take one step at a time and know your process, know what you want to do, and stay as close to that process as you possibly can.
Is this where you find out where your team's going to be able to do the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah. This is what it's made of. You're going to find out. You're going to break right now, and you want to have your team break at a pretty good record so they feel good about themselves over that long break. So, yeah, that's what's happening right now. You're fighting for everything you get right now. And it's difficult when it depends how you have a rotation also. Do you play 7 guys? That can get rough back-to-back. Play 8 guys? Okay. If you play 9, that'll help back-to-back because you can get more subs in there and rotate them quicker and better. And so that'll keep everybody a little bit fresher. But, that depends on your system and what you do as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. Bottom line is it's fun. It's fun. The games are fun. You practice, you get ready. You get to the games, they're fun. You have the refs there. A lot of times you'll, have some joking around with the refs and stuff like that until the game starts, and then it's a whole different dialogue. But there's the other coaches, you get to know them a little bit. In your league, there might be some collegiality amongst the coaches. There might be some bad blood amongst the coaches. I like to think that we have a pretty good collegial relationship with the coaches that we deal with, because I think by and large they're all pretty good guys. So, but Pete, that's an unbelievable trifecta right there. But yeah, 6 games in that amount of days is rough, but that's what you prepare for. That's what your preseason's all about. That's what your regular season start is all about, and that's what you're going for right now. You want to go. You want to go. You don't want to be exhausted, but you want to go. You want to get those games up. You want to get ready, and then take your break, come back, and be ready to go to battle in your league, because when we come back, it's basically all league. You have 1 non-league contest to get loose, but then after that, it's 14 straight games of league, and those games can be tough. Those league games are rough. All right, Pete, let's jump into the Power 15 this week. Woof. There's not a lot of change up top, but there's been a lot of motion and happening underneath a lot of plate tectonics in the NBA right now. The baseline story of the NBA right now is OKC. Coach Dagnall are running away with this thing. They're 18-1 on the thing there. I have them 21-1 now. Okay, we're up to 21-1 with the OKC Thunder. We got the Detroit Pistons 17-5. Pete, these are the old graphics.
Okay.
Pete, we got the Detroit Pistons at 17-5. This is the surprise of everything because right now you're looking at them being in first place in the Eastern Conference overall. Where are the Cavaliers? Where are the Knicks? Where are the Magic? Where are some of the teams they talked about? Well, Detroit Pistons are taking their lunch money right now, and they've got a really, really good young core of players there. Los Angeles Lakers at 15-5. We've got J.J. Redick and the boys. LeBron is back. LeBron is back and causing some consternation for sure. Got to play a little harder, man. Got to stop with all of his nonsense. And if you really want to try and win another championship and dedicate what little time you have left, because that's kind of the way I look at my career too, you know, as a coach. I mean, certainly I'm on the back nine. Certainly he's on the back nine. You know, I don't know how he feels he's going to get the great result with the expectation that he has with the way that he operates. You know, I'd like to see him clean that up. It'd be good for the game. Houston Rockets, 14-5. This team's on fire. They haven't lost back-to-back all year. That's how you know a good team. They respond to their losses. San Antonio Spurs, 15-6. I love it. Wembayana in and out of the lineup, but they've got a good young lineup. And we'll talk about this later, but Wembayana and Castle had a monster game together. Denver Nuggets, 15-6. Pretty good spot for them right there. Joker, you've got Murray playing very, very well right now. The new coach, Adelman, is instituting his culture, instituting his play game, instituting his defense, and everything seems to have moved smoothly because I think he got that little start with the team last year, prior, and then into the playoffs. Denver Nuggets are in the 6-hole. Toronto Raptors, 15-7 in the 7th spot. Big surprise right there. We got them at 15-7, and we got the New York Knicks at 14-7. They got the Fire Mike Brown banners up in New York, and I don't get it. They're 14-7. They were probably right around this spot last year. Give or take a win or two. Mike Brown trying to talk Jalen Brunson into being in the MVP conversation, and right now, I got to be honest with you, Coach Brown, that's not happening. Miami Heat 14-8, at least not in our conversation. Miami Heat 14-8, good job. They are shooting the ball at such an amazing clip right now. Spoelstra has this team on cruise control as far as what they're running, what they're doing. That's why you brought Tyler Herro back in after an injury and a long absence. Came back in pretty seamless and moved very well into the group. Minnesota Timberwolves 13-8. They're moving. They're up to the 10 spot. I like this team. I think they've got a lot of talent. I really, really love Anthony Edwards as an NBA rising star. And I think they've got some other good pieces on there with Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid. I think they're okay. I think they just got a little bit like the Orlando Magic. They're young. They got to develop more consistency. They tend to have this up and down, almost bipolar existence where they go on these win streaks and have really good times, and then they go on these losing streaks and really get mired into mediocrity. They got to stay strong. Phoenix Suns, I would be surprised at this if you told me 13-9 at the beginning of the season. 22 games in, they're a quarter of the way through, and they're going to make the playoffs. I didn't even have them down to make the playoffs. Orlando Magic, 13-9. They're recalibrating and getting better, but this team's better than 13-9. Boston Celtics are up 12-9. We like that, like to see that. Jaylen Brown's just been playing at a really, really high clip and high level. Cleveland Cavaliers, 13-10. Keep an eye on this one, Pete. Kenny Atkinson, they're underachieving right now. I know they have some injuries, but this is how you get fired in the NBA. Team gets off to a little bit of a rocky start when they had those very, very high expectations and aspirations. Atlanta Hawks close it out 13-10. Trae Young back now. We'll see how that goes. Here's a couple of notables for you. OKC is 21-1. They lost to the Blazers. They lost to the Trailblazers. Unbelievable. And so they're 10-0 at home. The Pacers are 0-10 away. Haven't won a road game yet. The Nets 1-9 at home, 4-7 away. They're better out of Brooklyn. And the Wizards right now are operating at a really, really significant deficit where they have a minus 14.5 efficiency rating in the NBA standings. No bueno, folks. All right, here's our Buster Poindexter section of who's hot, who's not. The Thunder have won 13 in a row. The Timberwolves have won 3 in a row, and the Celtics have won 2 in a row, doing really, really well right there with the Celtics on this little bit of a move. Clippers, boy, are they on the bad side of things. And we're going to talk about something they did during the week that really made me shake my head a little bit. But they've lost 5 in a row. They've also lost like 16 out of 18. The Pelicans L4 and the Bulls have lost 5 in a row. Pete, we've got a rest in peace in the zone. All-time Clemson scoring leader. Eldon Campbell has passed away at age 57. Great player for Clemson. Played in the NBA for the Pistons and the Lakers. Very long career, 15 seasons. He's their number 1 scorer at Clemson with 1,880 points. Pretty good. Rest in peace, Eldon. I liked him as a player. Zion out 3 weeks minimum. All right, we got some OOP for you, Pete. OOP means you're out of the playoffs already. I hate to say it, but we got some. Wizards, they're 10 games behind. They're not technically out, but they might as well be. The Kings are 16 games behind. The Pelicans are 18 games behind. And the Clippers are 15 games behind. Say goodbye to Hollywood. Say goodbye, my baby. It's over. You're not going to make the playoffs at that record. All right, we got stat leaders for you. And we're going to take you through them quickly because we want to jump right into a couple of other NBA baselines and then our Super 25 in college. We had some really, really late activity last night, which affected and impacted our Super 25. So we got Luka, 35.3, SGA, Maxey, Mitchell, and Edwards. Edwards down there with 29.8. Luka at 35.3, leading the way, having an unbelievable offensive career right now. The move to LA has really, really seemed to help him and been good for him. You got Joker leading and rebounding, 12.6. Big Cat second. Zubac third. Duran. And they've also got Isaiah Hartenstein from OKC in there at 10.7. Doing well. Assists. You've got the Joker at the top again. Cade Cunningham. Josh Giddey. Luka Doncic. And you've also got the great James Harden. All right, 3 balls. Donovan Mitchell, 84. A.J. Green, 79. Harden, 77. Steph Curry slipped down to 75. Maxey at 75. Our MVP right now, we'll give you some names. We don't have them in order, but you got to think about the Joker right now. Averaging a triple-double. SGA, 21-1, leading the OKC Thunder to an unbelievable season so far. And the national championship, the title last year. Luka, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, and Tyrese Maxey. That closes it out for me. Giannis, a lot of talk around him right now. We got Rookie of the Year. Con Knupples running away with it. Con Knuppel from Duke. I didn't like him in the 4 spot. I was very, very adamant and upfront about that, and we might have to take a little punch in the nose there on In the Zone because he's really proven us wrong. Right now has Con Knuppel in the number 1 spot, I would say. Cedric Coward right there, number 2. Had he gone to Duke, we're talking about a national championship team. You got Cooper Flagg, Derek Queen. I'm going to go with Fears from the Pelicans also, and VJ Edgecombe still in there. Defensive Player of the Year, if he can play enough games. Wembayana, Jalen Duren, Dyson Daniels, and we have in the 4 spot LeBron James for the all-defensive team. No, we're just kidding.
And what planet?
We're just kidding. He hasn't been in a stance in years. Okay, OKC, ya. This is hyperspace. 21-1. They're running away from everybody. Their next 7 games are Dallas, Utah, Phoenix, the Clippers, Timberwolves, Grizzlies, and Spurs. No real reason to think they won't take all of those. Their only loss was 121-119 to the Portland Trailblazers. That's the only thing separating them is 2 points from an undefeated season. Wow. Hats off to Sam Presti and the entire OKC organization. They're rated right now as the number 1 organization in all of sports. All right, this is what we were talking about before. The Clippers clipped Chris Paul. They just sent him home, middle of a trip, just said we are no longer going to continue our relationship with him. They announced he's no longer with the team. They are parting ways, and the Clippers have lost 14 of 16, as we mentioned. Wembayana and Stephen Castle, the UConn great, is the first group. This was reported. I want to maybe get my In the Zone detectives on this one, but they're reported to be the first teammates to record a triple-double. And the Spurs had them go for 31, 15, and 10 assists for Wembayana, and Castle went for 23, 10, and 10.
That's
Amazing.
an impressive feat, yeah.
Amazing. All right, Pete, we're going to slip right into our Super 25 in college basketball. Holy smokes, this is up and down and all the way around right now. I couldn't even describe to you the way this season has gone so far in adjectives, adverbs, anything that we could put to the test. It's been really, really something. And putting together the 25, I really, really love to differ from the guys that are out there with the weapons of math destruction, as we call them on the show. So what we did today for you was we put our Super 25 together, and then we put it up against, in juxtaposition to Ken Pom and Torvik, because I think those guys have lost their marbles, personally, on a few of these, and we're going to talk about them. Number one, Arizona, 7-0. Okay? They've played UConn, Florida, UCLA. They have other great games coming up non-conference. They've really challenged themselves. I don't understand how anybody doesn't have them at least in the top three right now. I get Michigan. I get Purdue. I get some of the other undefeated teams. But I don't understand how this team is getting an 8 rating from Ken Pom and a 12 rating from Torvik. They're undefeated. They beat 3 teams that everybody had in their top 25. I don't get it. Michigan State, 8-0. Again, Torvik, 10-7. I don't know what they're looking at. What I did is I went in to see who the quality wins were, who they went up against. Michigan State's got quality wins. They've got great wins, and they're undefeated. Great Big Ten team. And the Big Ten, I got to be honest, is very, very well represented here in this poll. 4 of our top 10. Michigan, here we go, back-to-back, 2 Big Tens right there. Michigan, 7-0. They got them, both have them 1-1. Now, I get it, because what happens is, and I want to explain to our fans, our listeners, they use the net. We don't use the net. Okay, the net means that they're including the margin of victory. So when Michigan blows out Gonzaga, as a coach, I know that can happen. I know what it means. I know what it represents. But I also understand that it only comes to 1 win. No matter how many you win by. If you win by 40, they don't give you 2 wins. Okay? In the net, because Michigan beat Gonzaga by 40, now they want to put them number 1 on the basis of 1 game. Or they did do something similar to Auburn. But again, they're including in the net, and this is where people got to really, really pay attention. They include in the net, in the weapons of math destruction, they include in there that thing of the differential of victories. That's why you see, when you're seeing Cannoli City, when you're seeing Cupcake City, and you sit there and they go, they beat that team by how much? 50, 60-point margins? That's because it's in the net. Now, let's not even talk about what that does for sportsmanship, because back in the day, the coaches, I'm up by 35 points. I'm going to sit in the 2-3 zone and not try and humiliate and embarrass the other coach,
right.
Unless it's a monster game, a big game, that you're in the middle of. You're up by 40 points. You can call off the dogs.
Right.
Here they're not calling them off.
Not anymore.
They're letting them rock and roll and go into that. And I want to thank my man Brady LePage, because I was having some kind of repeat that was coming on in my ear, and I don't know what he just did for me right there, but he reached his arm in there, and all of a sudden it went away. That's why I love that kid.
I diagnosed the problem. It was the volume on the television in there. It was turned up.
I was like, man, can't wait to get out of here. I feel like I'm being tortured in here with that repeat in my mind. And I didn't want to stop, but then I just figured, let's see if I can make the hour.
See, your engineering, we got it all set.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, Duke. This team's good. They have Cam Boozer, who's one of the best young freshmen and players. in the country, but there's a lot of other pieces on this team. They've got some great coaching going on with Shire, and I think this team has a chance. This team has a chance. The Duke people, they should be happy because you're going to get into your ACC play, and there's maybe a handful of teams in there that can beat your team. Maybe a handful of teams in there that can beat Louisville. But that's going to jump right to the top. I see North Carolina being better this year, and I think Virginia and some other teams might put up a little bit more of a fight. But once Duke gets in the ACC, it's going to go. They're going to go to hyperspace. Same thing with Louisville. They're going to win 16 of the 18 games in that league, and that's going to put them at the top for the remainder. I think the way that Arizona's got to go, the way that Michigan and Michigan State got to go, I think Duke could be your number one very, very soon. All right, Purdue 8-0. This guy is a painter, coach painter. Monet's is what he paints. They lose Zach Edey, and they just keep rolling. They lose other players, and they just keep rolling. Purdue has got it going, and I don't know what their NIL bag is. I don't know if it's as strong as everybody else's. I'm not 100% sure about that, but we do have a little bit of information on that in terms of some snippets and snapshots of the NIL, but not really the full bag. Not really the full bag. You never really know what everybody's operating with because they'll all have that $22 million that they're limited to, but then there's lane number 2. You know, I just heard that Boozer signed with some brand right now, and he's going to get $8 million as a result of that. That's lane number 2. You know, when Cooper Flagg was doing the Gatorade commercials and Caitlin Clark was doing commercials, those are lane number 2 commercials. This is what they used to prohibit. It's what they used to prohibit. But now, because these kids have become megastars, now they can do commercials and sell the product. And that's at least one side of it that's been a positive. Iowa State is a very surprising team. 8-0. Really, really good. I've seen them a couple of times. They got good wins. They beat St. John's in Madison Square Garden. I thought that was a great game for them. 8-0. They're 4-8 with the Ken Pom and Torvik thing here. Pretty consistent. UConn, I saw them the other night, Pete. Really good game. The Huskies are back. They're certainly back. Are they the best team in the country right now? I don't think so, but they're right there. They're right there, depending upon the game. Braylon Mullins brings something really big to the table. He was a young freshman that they had brought in, very excited about him, and well, they should be. And well, they should be excited about Eric Reeb as well. Really, really good freshman, big men that they have. But Mullen has been out with injury and now is back. And he's come back in this lineup now with him. And if they can ever get Taris Reed back healthy, that lineup's as deep as anybody has in the country. And right now, the only thing that's tugging on me a little tiny bit about that UConn team is their point guard play. We'll have to see how that goes. All right, but we got them in the 7 spot. Houston at 8, 7-1. They're cannoli cupcake city, Pete. They're cannoli cupcake city, and the only good team they did play, they lost. I should have dropped them even lower. They have them 9, and then they have them 3. Torvik has them at 3. How? How are they 3? They've played nobody, and they lost the only game that mattered. All right, so we got Vanderbilt, surprise team here. We're buying Byington. We're buying Byington. The coach came from James Madison, had a great run in the NCAA tournament. By all estimations, Coach Byington is bagged up at Vanderbilt. From what I've heard, they are bagged up in the basketball program at Vanderbilt. Very, very well resourced for NIL, and it shows they're 9-0, and they're right there 7-6 with a Kampom Torvik split. BYU 6-1. They have them 11-10. I'm a little higher on this team than some people. I know they got a tough loss to UConn. So it's a good quality loss, you know, and I like DeBonsa a lot. Love Richie Saunders. I like their big guy, Keita, inside. They got some pieces, and Hunter at the point guard spot is very, very good as well. Keep an eye on that team out west. Gonzaga, 7-1. A lot of people dropped them pretty far after that loss. Some people have them way down. These guys got them 5-9, not too bad. They got blasted by Michigan, but that's one game. That's one game. It was a terrible game. They didn't look like any Gonzaga team I had ever seen before. And the margin of victory is a historic margin of victory there. I bet Mark Few gets an awful lot out of that. Gets a lot out of that loss. He gets to recalibrate his team. Because what happens here, I got news for you, folks. When you pay these young dudes $100,000, $200,000, $400,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, and they start walking around like NBA dudes, don't be surprised. When they don't play hard, don't be surprised. When they don't give a maximum effort, don't be surprised, because you already took away the incentive that they were playing for, which was an NBA contract.
Yep.
Now they got a contract, and don't be surprised when they just absolutely become a group of guys that don't get after it like you want them to. And Mark Few has never before, long before they ever started paying people, never got blown out like that before. Now they have $1 million roster, and those guys laid down and got whacked by 40. What does that tell you? What does that say to you about the NIL? What does it say to the permeation of the culture in NCAA basketball?
A lot of fat, happy cats out there.
Oof. And they're not excited about being paid well.
That's what I'm saying. They're not hungry no more.
I'd be real excited about being paid well. Okay, North Carolina 7-1. They took an L, but I like this team. Caleb Wilson, I got him down as one of the best freshmen in the country, one of the best players in the country, and he's pretty high on my draft board too. I think he translates very well into an NBA player. Here's the problem for the Tar Heel fans. I love North Carolina. I love the Tar Heels, but he's going to be gone. You need to start thinking about that. He's going to be gone. All right, Louisville, 13. Dropped them down. They lost a game they shouldn't have lost. Most likely, they lost to. It was a tough contest, but losing the game when they beat Kentucky, I like that. But then Kentucky's falling apart. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But then also with Louisville, they haven't played anybody outside of that. And then the one game when they dipped their toe back in, they got knocked off. So I lowered them way down to 13. They're way down on them. They got them also at 13-13, but there's other people that have them way down. LSU, I like them 8-0. I saw this team play the other night. New coach, new program. They're loaded. Loaded, folks. Don't sleep on LSU. Right now they're 8-0. They have them 23-35. Ridiculous. Watch this team. They're really, really good. And they're well coached. Alabama 15, 6-2. They have them 14-11. We're not as high because they have got knocked up, but I do like this team. I just think they're just so intoxicated with that three ball. They just go wild for that three ball. When you shoot well, it's a good game. When you don't shoot well, you're in trouble. And that's what happened to them on the 2 nights they lost.
Doesn't anybody look around and say, if you live by the three, you die by the three, and see how many teams have had a tough time with just go all three, like the Celtics last year, things like that? Doesn't people look around and say, hey, this might not be a good idea?
They took 100 in an NBA game. To me, it's like crack. It's an alluring drug.
The quick high.
And it's just something that gets into your veins, man. And you got guys, if you watch guys that play basketball now, there are certain guys which I call it the easy pass lane. They never cross that line. They never go beyond it. They just run right to that spot, stand there, and that's what they do. They just stand there. And it's bad for your offense, but it's bad for that player as well. What I try and tell people is, if your coach in high school, I say this to my players all the time, if your coach in high school told you to run to the corner and stand there, he don't think you're very good. He don't think you're a real good player. He thinks you might be able to shoot the ball, but he wants to keep you out of it as much as he wants to put you into it. And so that's where I'm at. I don't really like that stuff, but that's the way the game is trending for sure. And Alabama is, they're the number one, prognosticator of that. Arkansas 6-2, 29-20. I'm a little higher on this team. Their schedule's been good. They just play like a Calipari team plays. Sometimes they look unbelievably great. And you say, man, this team might win the national title. And then they come out and play another game, and you look and you say, God, they'll be lucky to win any games in their league if they play like this. That's just a John Calipari team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
USC, 8-0. doing really, really well. They got a talented team. Musselman went out there. Everybody was a little surprised because that was the domino that started Calipari's movement out of Kentucky as well. So you got Musselman jumps on the USC job after being at Arkansas and really, really doing well at Arkansas. And then went to USC, which was basically a rebuild. But a rebuild is no longer daunting in the eyes of these coaches when you have, $14 million to rebuild with, $18-20 million to rebuild with. You can rebuild instantly. So that's not really a deterrent anymore. Tennessee 7-2. They lost at Syracuse the other night. Great win for Coach Red Autry and the Orangemen. Bad loss for Barnes and his crew. Nate Ament looked really, really bad in that game. I was high on him until I watched him in that game. I know the Carrier Dome can be a tough place to play, but 7 turnovers doesn't look like an NBA star to me. Iowa 7-1. Nebraska 8-0. I like this team. The Nebraska mayor out there, Hoiberg, doing a good job. I like this team, but we'll see what happens when they get to league. They're in a really, really tough conference. Baylor 6-1. They've got Tunde Yusufu, great guard. They can really make it work. If they keep playing the defense that they have been playing, I think they're going to be okay. Here's a team I threw in there. Hasn't been around in a while. At the end of the time, recently, with a coaching change, Miami program had really, really hit rock bottom. And again, that might have been a deterrent for some coaches to come in and say, I don't know if I want to spend my first 2 or 3 years losing as I rebuild this program in the ACC, which is a tough place to rebuild. But now you take Jai Lucas, load up $18 million, $20 million in a duffel bag, and you're Gucci. So if the job is right, these guys are going to jump. And what's going to happen also is you're going to see that carousel spin like crazy this year.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing it in football. LSU right now has 3 football coaches under salary right now. 3 of them. You're going to see this happen all
nuts.
over the place. You're going to see. And again, that ain't going to help your NIL.
Nope.
That's not going to help your NIL because your money is your money. It's, and if you can keep on grabbing it from any place you can, great. But if you're out there for 50, 60 million on a football coach, I think that's going to show up somewhere. Iowa 7-1. Coach just keeps winning. They really, really have a good unit there. And they've also got a great point guard in Sturts. Baylor is really right there with them. Miami, the backcourt at Miami is very good. Trey Donaldson from Michigan, very good player. Miami might make some noise in the ACC with that team. Missouri 8-1. I like this team. They took a bump the other day, but I like this team, and they got a really, really good home court advantage. Wisconsin 6-2. John Blackwell, folks, keep an eye on him. One of the best players in the conference. And I'm going to go with Auburn 7-2 because they've had a rough schedule. And I'm not into nepotism. I'm not into this hand the job off to your son. When they did it at Davidson, it didn't have a good result down there with Coach McKillop. Now they've done it at Auburn with Coach Pearl. I hope it goes well. They got a good team right now. But again, somewhere along the line, that first-year coach against all of those other coaches in his league, it's going to show up. And they showed a graphic on a coach the other day that was, unbelievable, where they were like 3 and like 60 with 5 minutes left in the game. They lost so many close games, and it's just coaching, That's what it comes down to. Here's your young and winless, Pete. Gardner-Webb 0-10. Maine is 0-10. That program had moved forward and gotten going a little bit, and they had just signed Cooper Flagg's brother, Ace Flagg. So people were thinking maybe they could move a little bit. Nichols is 0-7. I don't know how they got a 262 rating when they're 0-7 out of KenPom. And Florida 0-5. Florida A&M 0-5. Pete, I'm going to give you a not super 25.
Okay.
But here's some people that are doing really, really good stuff that won't be in your top 25. And that's one of the reasons for that is what we refer to and allude to on this show as weapons of math destruction. This is the algorithm built. Who built it? The Power Four built it. Who'd they build it for? They built it for themselves. Who is it at the detriment of? Everybody else. I swear this thing is rigged. It's terrible. And they keep using it. They keep validating it. And they keep going, well, now we enter into the net, and then they'll have a Met and a bet and all this other crap that they throw into it, when really what you're doing is screwing really good teams to never get into the NCAA tournament like they used to. Absolutely screwing them. The George Mason Final Four team doesn't get in now.
Yeah.
The team that went, got an at-large bid, Coach Larinaga, Coach Chris Caputo, led that team to a Cinderella story. They're dead. We told you when we started this show, Cinderella was in the dungeon. Well, they might have bumped her off. I hate to say it.
Rapunzel will not be coming down for dinner.
There's no hair to climb for these young people. Okay, you're not Super 25, Pete. Let's start off with the Bonnies. Mark Schmidt, Woj, the crew up there has put together a very, very nice team. I like this team because Olean, where St. Bonaventure resides, it resides between Olean and Allegheny, and those are tough blue-collar towns.
Yep.
It's cold in the winter. It snows all winter long. Those people up there are tough, and they don't really go soft, They're just good quality people, And this St. Bonaventure team really, really imitates, replicates, and looks like that town. They're tough. They're gritty. They play hard. They represent well. And I'm proud of this organization because I'm watching a lot of these other teams, and they're not even trying. They're not even playing hard. You're leaving your game in the locker room. I'm proud of my Bonnies at 801. Doing a really good job, and I hope it continues as we get to the league. Folks, the A-10 is going to be good this year. George Mason, another A-10 team. If you want to know of a really, really hot coach that you could talk to about moving up to that next level, Tony Skinn, George Mason, 9-0, doing an unbelievably great job down there. Really, really turning that program into what it used to be, and now really keeping it at a level that's really, really good. Oklahoma State is 8-0. They had fallen on hard times. New coach, new program, big bag down at Oklahoma State. Colorado, 8-0. Guy does a great job. They lost 3 guys in the NBA first round, at least 2 in the first round and 1 maybe in the second round. De Silva went, Cody Williams went. The other guy was KJ Simpson. I don't know if he was drafted, but was second round. Now to reverberate here and come back 8-0 again. They must have a big bag. Belmont, 8-1. This team over the years has sent guys, Shepard and the other guy now, both of them went to the Pacers. 2 guys into the NBA from a mid-major program like that, pretty good. Tulsa, Eric Conkle is also a Jim Larinaga protege, much like Chris Caputo, 7-1 at Tulsa and doing a great job. Kent State, 8-1. I'm going to get to see this team up close as I do another one of my UMass cover games, and this Kent State team is really good, very well coached by Rob Senderoff, and will present a very good test for a very, very hot UMass team right now. Kent State is solid, though. Miami of Ohio, same conference, the MAC conference where UMass is going. A lot of good teams. Akron, Ohio, Kent State, really, really good teams. Miami of Ohio is 7-0. Columbia, holy smokes, I can't even get this out. Columbia's 8-1, Pete. The
Wow.
Lions down in Manhattan, this job is a sleeping giant. Maybe they finally got it going. South Alabama, 8-1. UNC Wilmington, 8-1. Richmond, again, out of the A-10, haven't had a tough schedule, but they're 7-1. Shaw Holloway's 8-1 down at Seton Hall. Santa Clara, Herb Sendek, they poached the G League, came out 7-1. And Johnny Dawkins, 7-1. We're going to give you one more. GW Revs, 7-2 right now, off to a great start as well. Pete, here's our draft board considerations right now. These are the guys we're looking at. Not in any order, But these are the guys we're looking at as to be in our top 10, to be on the top 10 of our draft board. Here's a little bit of a feed for you, a little bit of a list for you. A.J. DeBonsa at BYU, incredible. He gets at the basket like Scotty Barnes does. He's so long, so athletic, and he has a mid-range and a three-point game. I think his game is built for the NBA. Really going to have to be a tug of war over who gets that first pick. Caleb Wilson, UNC, I'm very high on this young man. After watching him, really excited about him. And I would really, really have to be crazy not to put him in the top 5 right now. I would say he's a top 5 NBA slot right now. Yexel Lendenberg, a lot of these mock draft guys are way, way down on him as far as his NBA potential. I'm not as high as everybody else might be, saying he's top 5, but I think he's got great potential, certainly to be in the top 15, certainly to be in the top 10 with the year that he's having right now. Cam Boozer from Duke, I'm watching because when I see him get matched up against guys his own size, of his own kind of ilk, I see him a little bit struggling. We'll see. Duke's been winning. They've been getting away with it. He hit an absolutely monster clutch shot at the end of that Florida game. But I did see him get bottled up by Florida a little bit, so I want to see what happens going down the line. Mikal Brown, Louisville, not a lot of reservation about this young man as a pro. He's got game, he can shoot, and he's got NBA body right now. Jacob Toppin from Texas Tech. Boy, wait till you hear how much money he's making, Pete. Now you know why they lost Darian Williams. Texas Tech, very high on my list up here, though. Probably top 15. Koa Pete, he reminds me of Wes Unseld, Arizona. He is so tough around the basket, dunks everything. I just want to see a little bit more from him in terms of the perimeter, because when he gets in the NBA, there are going to be a bunch of guys like him. And that's when your perimeter game and the rest of your game has to take shape. Neoklis Avdalis, love him, out of Virginia Tech, 6'10", can do a lot. Got a Greek European style game to him. Keep an eye on him. Trayvon Brazil from Arkansas, he's ready for the NBA right now. Shoots it well. Reminds me of Tayshaun Prince. 6'10", long, can get after it, shoots it, gets to the rim, and he's very, very athletic with a lot of length. LeBaron Phelan from Alabama, he might be the first guard taken, one of the first real true guards taken in this. He's going to be under 6'2", taken, but he's fast, shifty, and can really play. Tunde Yasufu, we talked about him with Baylor. When he gets up on that draft board, you're going to see him rise because his NBA game is ready and his NBA body is ready. Darren Peterson, I got a lot of question marks about this young man being on a draft board very high. Everybody, and I mean just about everybody, has him going number 1, maybe number 2, and he's only played in 2 games for Kansas this year, and he's been hurt for the rest of that time with what I consider to be some phantom injuries. First it was he didn't feel well, then it was cramps, and now it's a hamstring. And when you hear his NIL number comparative to some of the others, I would think that might have something to play here. Nate Ahmed, come on, Nate, I like you, but you slipped for me the other night. Trey Kaufman-Renn from Purdue, not a lot of people talking about him. Check his numbers because they're pretty good. This Tuesday, you had a Tuesday trifecta, as I call it. Connecticut, 61-56 over Kansas. Great college basketball game. Duke, 67, Florida, 66. Great college basketball game. North Carolina, 67, Kentucky, 64. Great college basketball game. My only complaint is we're on at the same time, most of them. And I don't mind going back and forth a little bit, popping that channel, alternate channel. But I really do like it when they would space this out, because in between, on alternate nights, they had such awful games on that one of these games to watch on its own is just a great game. To put all 3 of them on in the same night is not good programming. Okay, Pope, no longer dope. Pope at Kentucky. When he was at BYU, we loved him, loved the stuff they were running. He's at Kentucky right now. They got Jaden Quaintance, a guy they brought over from Arizona State, hasn't played yet. Another guy, NIL, big money, hasn't even played a game yet. You're 10 games in, and they haven't played, and you're paying them over $2 million, over $1.5 million Do you get a rebate? Do you get a refund? Do you get a check per diem cut that he didn't play?
Cut him. Kick him out. Cut him.
You might have to. Social media is calling for Pope's head after a 5-3 start. Their losses are to Louisville, UNC, and Michigan State. I wouldn't go crazy right now, but there's teams like that in their league, all over their league. So they better get it straight at Kentucky right now. I just don't see like how they feel you can just keep putting these teams together, paying them disparate amounts of money, and everybody in there is going to be hunky-dory about it. You're going to have locker room collegiality. You won't. You got problems. You got guys who want more. You got guys who check this guy's bag, saw his bag was bigger than his bag. Human nature kicks in. He wants to up his bag.
Yep.
All right? Unbelievable. They have the highest evaluation of NIL reported at $22 million. I think they got evaluation problems. If you have $22 million and you sign those guys, you might want to think about it. Because here's the guys that are in the top 10. You know, Darren Peterson is 10th at 1.6. Is that why he's sitting out? Is he looking to renegotiate on the fly? Is he looking for a new bag because he knows DeBonsa got 4.4? Could be. Denzel Aberdeen from Kentucky, $1.6 million. They're 5-3. Darian Williams, $1.7 million at NC State. The reason he couldn't get his bag at Texas Tech is because they're paying Toppin $3.3 million. Unbelievable. That's why they lost him. He wanted a bigger bag. They were paying Toppin 3.3. He had a great year last year. Really had a great year for them. And for them to say he's going to get twice as much money as me, I can see why he left. Because if he took 1.7, they probably weren't even offering him that. Cam Boozer at 1.8, plus the $8 million they just slid in on the other contract. Believe me, he's doing very, very well. And Duke's doing very well. So at least Duke spent their money wisely. That was a pretty good battle down there between Duke and Miami for the Boozer twins. Duke was good. Duke was fortunate to win that one, especially only putting 1.8 on the table. Caleb Wilson, 1.9 from UNC. He gets more money than Boozer. That's a little surprising. PJ Haggerty, Kent State. He was at Memphis. $1.9 million, and they're losing. Jaden Quaintance, $2.0 million. How many games has he played, Pete? Not a one.
As many as a 76er?
Not a one. He's on the Joel Embiid schedule. JT Toppin, $3.3 million, and AJ DeBonsa, $4.4. Darren Peterson, 2 games. I'd look for a rebate. Quaintance, no games. I'd look for a rebate. Okay, Pete, how's my time?
I think you got about 5 minutes.
Good. This will cover it. We got a segment here I'm going to go with Caught in the Net. All right? This is my discussion point about weapons of math destruction. This was created by, for, and large by the power conferences. The reason they created it was to eliminate Cinderella from the NCAA tournament. And they created it right around the time they got roughed up with Virginia losing to the 16 seed and Purdue getting bounced out by FDU. Now they want to go to a mathematical equation and formula, which won't make this stop because you still have the automatic qualifiers. That's going to be the next battle line, are the automatic qualifiers for the lower level conferences that operate with net of 250 or better. The MAC, the Ivy, the Patriot League, the NEC, any of those conferences going to really, really be under duress to hold on to those bids that they have as the automatic qualifiers. This is why they're calling for expansion. They want expansion because they know it's going to really, 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 really look bad When they go in and bully those schools for their budget, bully those schools for their NIL automatic qualifiers, NCAA automatic qualifiers on non-NIL schools. We don't have money. We don't pay our people. We just do things the old-fashioned way. And guess what? Big boys coming in to take your AQ. How's that going to play out? Yep. How's that going to go? Do they care about the marketing of that? Do they care about the ramifications of that, of the negative consequence of that, of the unintended consequence of that? I don't think they care. I think they're going to jam this thing through just like they have the other stuff, the portal, the NIL, all of the other stuff. They're just going to jam it through without asking, without permission, without support. They used to run polls back in the day to find out what the American people were thinking. And then they would run those polls, and then they would make law accordingly based upon what the polls were. Kind of a chicken crap way of making law, but at least it had a representation to it. Now they know that people aren't in favor of this stuff, and they go ahead and do it anyway. You've gone beyond Thunderdome now, folks. It's in your face. They're punching you right in your lip with this stuff, and we're taking it. We're taking it. We're not emptying out those arenas. We're not turning off the TV. We're taking it. Just want everybody to be clear on that. So when I say caught in the net, we're talking about weapons of mass destruction, constructed and designed and executed by the power teams for the power teams. What it does also, when you include the net, believe it or not, it fosters and it exacerbates cupcake and cannoli syndrome. The syndrome is we go in, now we need a net win. Good, let's go buy a game. We're going to buy a game. Means we're going to pay somebody to come in here and lose. And then not only are they going to lose, we're going to blow them out. But they're going to go home with a nice check, which they can give to their athletic department to help pay for field hockey. It's the way it works now. That's the way it works. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying that's the way it works. And it fosters the margin of victory importance, which, as we talked about before, that's not sportsmanship. That's actually belies sportsmanship and cuts down another major tenet of what they were trying to create with this whole thing. It really, really also cuts down on, this is maybe nobody cares about this, but what it does is it cuts down on the guys on the end of the bench who would normally get some minutes at the end of a blowout. Now the coach is going to keep his guys in there, risking injury to your good players, but they're going to keep them in there so they get that net blowout. And those guys at the end of the bench, they go to practice, that usually live for those couple of minutes at the end of a game where they get cheered on, where they get some accolades and they get some props. Nope. Go sit on the bench longer and longer and longer so that we can blow these guys out to the street. Unbelievable. Judging all by a standard of a few elite. That's what they're doing now. They're judging everybody by a standard of a few elite, meaning who's Bonaventure playing? Bonaventure people. They should be judged accordingly on that. Who's Fairfield playing? People at their level. They should be judged according to who they're playing at their level. Who are those guys playing? They're playing people way below their level. They should be judged accordingly for that. This is why your algorithm is messed up.
That's why your top 25 is the really only legitimate top 25. I'm sorry.
I appreciate that, and I it's not driven by math. It's driven by me watching these teams, coming up with it, but also looking at the math. But not only looking at the math. That's where they went blind. That's where they went out. That's when somebody turned the lights out on this thing. Okay, but again, you're judging all by the standards of a few. Not everybody's top 25. They can't be judged on that standard. They have to be bell curved. They have to be judged on their own standard. And when Fairfield goes 25-1 and loses in the MAC championship, they have 0. and I tell you 0 chance of an at-large bid right now,
Yep.
what would you expect them to do? If they're 25-0, they don't need your at-large bid. That means they won every game. They got their automatic qualifier. So then what is the standard for these schools now? You're 24-1 and you're still not good enough. No bueno. No bueno. Fair and equitable opportunity is impossible under the current construct. And blowouts, I got news for you folks. Blowouts are bad TV. Nobody wants to watch that crap. Nobody wants to see somebody down by 60. I couldn't watch the Gonzaga game.
It doesn't matter what sport either.
No.
And it's even tough for the announcers to do a game like that.
It is. Having been on that side of it, it's one of those things where the announcers can always find stuff to talk about, but are you going to be able to hold the interest of your audience with what you're talking about?
Yep.
That's it. Pete, what do I got, a minute?
Yep.
All right. The whole portal thing plays right into this. So we'll pick up on this right now for our last minute. The portal should never, under any circumstance, open before the end of all concluded games.
Yep.
You cannot open the portal in the middle of the season in an already fractured locker room and then find out Tom, Dick, and Harry are transferring 2 months before the season's over.
Yep.
You think that's good? You think that's helpful? Multiple transfers in multiple years, 4 and 4, 5 and 4, 4 different schools. How can that be good? Transfer audits, we've talked about that.
They thought one and done was bad. That doesn't mean squat anymore.
One and done's a joke too.
Yep.
They should get that right out of there because one and done is against free. It's restraining free trade.
Yep.
These guys are good enough. Take them.
Yep.
NBA didn't want them, so they said don't take them. I love it when these people are also loyally and law-abiding until it goes against them. Then that stuff goes out the window and it's hardball. Strict enforcement for impermissible contact. You can't be calling dudes in their dorm rooms. You can't have their agents calling everybody. You can't have guys on your team because they played AAU with these guys calling them. Impermissible contact has to be punished. Has to be enforced. And again, transfer audit. Are you producing that as fast as they need to have it? Or are they already in the school by the time they get their transfer audit? Are they already down the line by the time they found out they lost 14 credits? All right, Pete, here's just one last thing I'm going to leave you with. Opponents' points per game. The Wizards, get in a stance. Play some defense. 127 points a game. That's unbelievable. You're going to set an NBA record for futility if that continues. The Jazz, 125. Pelicans, 123. Bulls, 122. Kings, 122. You got 5 teams above $120 right now. Awful. Nuggets are 125 on the other side for offense. Folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week, baby, in the zone.